The Galactic Council was not an organization many species heard about often. It was a secretive group made up of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They rarely interfered in the affairs of younger worlds, believing that time and experience were the best teachers. But now something had changed. For the first time in centuries, the Council issued a message that shook the galaxy's calm. It was a warning about a small blue planet in an ordinary star system, a place called Earth. The Council's broadcast was sent through every known communication channel, reaching distant star systems and even remote colonies on the edges of explored space. The message was simple but powerful. Beware of humans. The Council described humans as unpredictable, a species that did not follow rules easily, one that had an unusual combination of resourcefulness and fierce independence. They warned that humans were capable of surprising acts, both creative and dangerous, and that ignoring this species could lead to disaster. Despite the weight the Council's name carried, many alien worlds were skeptical. Several dismissed the warning as nothing more than fear or exaggeration. It was hard to believe that a young species just stepping into the galactic scene could truly be a threat. To them, humans were still primitive, struggling to survive on their own planet, dealing with conflicts and chaos that seemed all too familiar across new civilizations. It was easy for many to think the Council's message was a political move, or a way to control new powers from rising too quickly. The galaxy was filled with cautious voices, but there was also laughter and disbelief. Some alien leaders even joked about the idea that a small, fragile species like humans could ever challenge the established powers that had thrived for millions of years. On Earth, life went on as usual. Humans were busy exploring their own limits. Their scientists pushed forward, developing technology that promised to reach the stars. Space agencies sent probes to other planets, looking for signs of life and preparing for future missions. Among humans, the news of the Galactic Council's warning never arrived. The transmissions sent to distant stars were met with silence on Earth's end. Humanity remained unaware that their every move was being watched, measured, and discussed by civilizations far beyond their understanding. As humans dreamed of exploration and peace, they did not realize that many eyes in the galaxy watched them with a mix of curiosity, caution, and sometimes fear. The Council's message was carefully crafted to create awareness, not panic. It spoke of humans' unique qualities, their ability to adapt to almost any environment, their determination to overcome impossible odds, and their tendency to challenge authority in ways that no other species did. What made humans stand apart was their unpredictability.
No one could ever be sure how a human would react in any situation.
Where other species followed strict logic or ancient traditions, humans relied on intuition and creativity, often turning problems upside down to find solutions no one else had imagined. This made them difficult to predict, and therefore hard to control. For the Galactic Council, this was both a warning and a recognition. Humans were not monsters, but their unpredictability carried risks that no one had fully understood. On the outer rim, the star systems closest to Earth's location, alien scientists and diplomats debated quietly. Some argued that the Council's warning should be taken seriously. They pointed to recent mysterious signals and strange events near Earth's space vicinity, unexplained energy bursts, sudden changes in communication patterns, and unusual bursts of radiation. Others called these anomalies normal for a growing spacefaring species, and argued that fear should not guide decisions. The debate was heated with no clear agreement. Meanwhile, ships from various factions quietly observed Earth from afar, scanning for more clues, unsure if the humans would become friends or foes. The Galactic Council's broadcast was like a shadow that passed over the galaxy, casting doubt where there had been certainty. It was a message that reminded everyone that despite how advanced many civilizations were, the universe was still full of surprises. The warning about humans was a story of caution, but it was also a story of respect. Even the oldest races could not ignore the spark they saw in humanity, a spark that had survived countless challenges on a world filled with hardship. It was a spark that could either light a new path for peace or ignite a flame of conflict. Back On Earth, the human race was on the verge of new discoveries. Space travel was becoming more reliable, and plans for colonies on Mars and beyond were in progress. Scientists and explorers dreamed of joining a larger cosmic community. Yet, for now, they were unaware that their future was being discussed in distant halls filled with towering beings and endless knowledge. The Galactic Council's warning hung in the void, waiting for the moment when the galaxy would truly meet humanity. Would humans prove to be the unpredictable force of destruction the Council feared, or would their spirit become the key to a new era of cooperation? The silence on Earth was deafening in the grand scheme of the galaxy. Humans continued their daily lives, unaware of the challenge before them. But among the stars, watchers waited. They watched for the moment when humans would step fully into the galactic stage and reveal what they were truly capable of. The warning was a beginning, not an end. It was a reminder that in the vastness of space, even the smallest voice could change the future forever. The Zorvath Empire was known across many star systems for its disciplined military and advanced diplomacy, but when their scouting party arrived near Earth, they faced an unexpected challenge that no one in their ranks had fully prepared for. The mission was straightforward: make contact with the humans, establish peaceful diplomatic relations, and assess Earth's readiness to join the interstellar community. The Zorvath scouts were confident, believing their centuries of experience and advanced technology would easily allow them to control or influence the unpredictable newcomers. As their sleek ships slipped into Earth's orbit, their scanners showed a world still developing its spacefaring capabilities, filled with fragile and volatile societies. To the Zorvath, humans seemed no more than a chaotic species struggling to unite themselves. Yet from the moment the first communication signals were sent, subtle signs hinted at something the Zorvath had overlooked. Humans did not respond as expected. Their messages were mixed, sometimes cautious, sometimes direct, and filled with unfamiliar patterns that confused the alien translators. The humans' persistence to communicate, even in the face of ambiguity, was unusual. Scouts decided to send a small landing party to the surface, choosing a remote desert region for their arrival, hoping to avoid panic and allow a controlled introduction. However, the Zorvath underestimated human resilience and quick thinking. Local human observers spotted the alien ships descending and immediately alerted authorities. The sudden arrival triggered a flurry of military and scientific activity. As humans scrambled to understand and prepare for contact, initial attempts to establish dialogue were filled with tension. Humans approached with a mix of caution and curiosity, while the aliens maintained strict protocols, expecting compliance. A simple misunderstanding escalated quickly. An alien sensor device was mistaken for a weapon by human forces, prompting a defensive response. Alarms blared, and soldiers took positions, ready for a possible attack. The Zorvath found themselves surrounded by humans who were not only prepared but also adapting rapidly to the new threat. What started as a minor misstep quickly became a standoff filled with uncertainty. The humans employed tactics the Zorvath had not anticipated: improvisation, cooperation, and the ability to analyze and counter alien technology in real time. Despite the language barrier, gestures, symbols, and attempts at peaceful communication continued under a cloud of tension. The aliens were stunned by humans' ability to stay calm and resourceful, even when faced with unknown dangers. The standoff lasted hours, each side carefully observing the other, trying to avoid the spark that could ignite a larger conflict. Slowly, the Zorvath realized that humans were not easily intimidated or controlled, as many species they had encountered. Before, they were adaptable and unpredictable in ways that made diplomacy challenging, but also filled with potential. Eventually, through a combination of translators' gestures and the help of human scientists eager for peaceful contact, a fragile truce was established. The Zorvath withdrew their landing party, signaling a temporary retreat but also a desire to continue communication on more equal terms. Back on their homeworld, the scouting party's report was clear and cautious. Humans were far from simple. They were a species that required respect and careful consideration. Yet, despite their admiration for human ingenuity, the Zorvath believed that with the right approach, these unpredictable newcomers could still be reasoned with or influenced. The incident had shaken their assumptions, but it had not shattered their confidence. They viewed the humans as a puzzle complex and challenging, but not beyond understanding. The report circulated among the Galactic Council's members, fueling debate and intrigue. Some saw humans as a threat that needed to be watched closely, while others saw promise in their spirit and potential for cooperation. The first contact with humans had not gone as smoothly as the Zorvath had hoped, but it had made one thing clear: humanity was not a species to be underestimated, and the galaxy would soon have to reckon with their place among the stars. Standoff had revealed not only the risks of misunderstanding, but also the unique qualities that made humans both fascinating and formidable. As the Zorvath prepared for future missions, they did so with a new sense of respect and caution, knowing that the next encounter might decide the fate of many worlds as humanity expanded beyond Earth. The stars that once seemed distant and unreachable suddenly became new homes and battlegrounds. The first colonies on nearby planets were small, fragile outposts filled with pioneers who faced harsh conditions and endless challenges. Yet despite the hardships, humans thrived. Their determination to build, explore, and connect was unmatched. They worked together, sharing knowledge and resources, overcoming obstacles with a mix of stubbornness and creativity that alien observers found both impressive and unsettling. News of humanity's growing presence spread quickly throughout the galaxy, reaching ears that had once dismissed the Galactic Council's warning as fear-mongering. Alien factions who had ignored the caution now found themselves watching humans with wary eyes. The rapid rise of a new power that threatened their long-standing control over certain star systems. Tensions began to rise quietly at first, small skirmishes at the edges of explored space, mysterious sabotage of supply routes, and strange incidents disrupting communication channels. These acts were designed to slow human progress, to remind them that not all welcomed their expansion. However, humans reacted differently than expected. Rather than retreating or fracturing under pressure, they showed unexpected unity and strategic brilliance. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats collaborated in ways that surprised even their own people, developing defenses and countermeasures that turned attacks into opportunities. They formed alliances with other species who had once felt oppressed or ignored, drawing strength from shared experiences and a desire for fairness. This coalition of diverse races admired humans not just for their courage, but for their ability to inspire hope and solidarity. Battles became more than clashes of weapons. They became tests of will, innovation, and leadership. Humans adapted quickly, using technology in clever ways and making decisions that confounded their enemies. Their willingness to learn from mistakes and adjust strategies gave them an edge that few had anticipated. Meanwhile, in the halls of power across the galaxy, debates raged. Some viewed humans as a dangerous disruptor, a force that could upset the balance and lead to chaos. Others saw the possibility of change, of a new order where cooperation could replace domination. Yet the threat of conflict was real and growing. Every skirmish, every act of sabotage was a reminder that the future was uncertain. Despite the pressures, humans did not falter. They continued to build their colonies, strengthen their defenses, and deepen their alliances. Their leaders spoke not of conquest, but of survival and coexistence, seeking ways to bring peace without surrendering their independence. The galaxy watched, holding its breath as the story of humanity unfolded. It was clear that the coming years would decide not just the fate of a species, but the fate of the entire galactic community. Would humans break down walls and build bridges, or would fear and suspicion lead to war? The stars themselves seemed to pulse with anticipation, as if waiting for the next move in a game that only humans could play with such unpredictable skill. The stage was set for a dramatic encounter between old powers and new, ambitions, a moment that would test everything the galaxy thought it knew about strength, unity, and hope. The Galactic Council, which had long watched over the galaxies, peace and balance, found itself facing a crisis unlike any before. As reports poured in from the outer regions, it became clear that the warning about humans was no longer just a cautionary tale, but a pressing reality demanding urgent attention. Human colonies had grown stronger, and their alliances with other species were reshaping the power dynamics across star systems. The council members gathered once more in their grand chamber, a vast hall filled with representatives from the oldest and wisest civilizations. The atmosphere was tense, thick with debate and uncertainty. Many admitted that their previous assessment of humanity had been too mild, that they had underestimated the true force behind the human spirit. It was not merely the technology humans had developed, impressive as it was, at their unpredictable nature and fierce refusal to bow to any external power that set them apart. Some council members argued passionately that humans represented a new kind of challenge, one that required cooperation rather than confrontation. These voices believed that the best path forward was to engage with humanity openly, to learn from their resilience and find common ground that could lead to mutual growth. They pointed out that humans had already shown a willingness to form alliances and seek peaceful solutions, even when faced with hostility. However, not everyone agreed. A powerful faction within the council urged a more cautious and even aggressive approach, fearing that the longer humans were left unchecked, the greater the risk to galactic stability. These members pushed for containment strategies, proposing restrictions on human expansion and measures to limit their influence before it became uncontrollable. The possibility of a blockade or sanctions was discussed, along with the formation of a coalition to keep human ambitions in check. This division among the council only heightened the sense of urgency, as debates became heated and alliances within the council shifted. Behind the scenes, secret meetings took place, and intelligence agencies worked to uncover every detail about human capabilities and plans. There was no doubt that humans had changed the rules of engagement in the galaxy, and now the council had to decide whether to embrace this change or resist it at all costs. The tension in the chamber mirrored the tension across the stars, where humans and their allies prepared for uncertain times ahead. As the council struggled to reach consensus, many wondered if their indecision would cost them dearly. The threat of an all-out confrontation loomed, with the potential to ignite conflicts that could reshape the galaxy's future. Yet, amid the turmoil, there was a growing realization that humanity's rise could also be an opportunity to forge a new era of understanding and unity among the diverse species. The outcome of the council's deliberations would set the course for what was to come, determining whether the galaxy would embrace a future shared with humans or fall into division and war. In that moment, the ancient halls of the Galactic Council echoed with the weight of history, holding its breath as the fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, waiting for a decision that could change everything. When the coalition of powerful alien factions finally moved to isolate Earth and its colonies, declaring a blockade that aimed to cut off humanity's access to resources and allies, the galaxy held its breath. The coalition believed this move would force humans to surrender or weaken their growing influence. But they underestimated the resolve and creativity that had become humanity's hallmark. Faced with the threat of being cut off, humans did not panic. Instead, they mobilized quickly and with precision. Their defense campaign was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to improve technology, developing new spacecraft and weapons that combined advanced alien designs with human innovation. Diplomats reached out to other species, many of whom admired humanity's courage and determination, forming a network of alliances that spanned beyond Earth's immediate neighbors. What surprised the coalition most was not just the military strength humans displayed, but the clever diplomacy that accompanied it. Humans used their unpredictability and willingness to find unconventional solutions to open back channels with factions within the coalition, turning former opponents into cautious allies. Their ability to adapt to changing circumstances and to unite disparate groups under a common cause allowed them to break through the blockade in unexpected ways. Battles that followed were fierce but brief, marked by strategic brilliance and a refusal to give up. Human forces demonstrated remarkable teamwork and resilience, often turning the tide with last-minute plans that left their enemies scrambling. The galaxy watched as humans balanced defense with outreach, never losing sight of their goal. Not domination, but survival and respect. As the conflict unfolded, it became clear that humans were not merely fighting for territory, they were fighting for a place at the galactic table. Their efforts challenged old ideas about power and leadership, showing that strength could come from unity, innovation, and a willingness to embrace change. In response to humanity's unexpected success, the Galactic Council reconvened. This time, the mood was different. The Council recognized that humans were no longer a species to fear or contain, but a catalyst for a new kind of cooperation. The blockade was lifted and negotiations began in earnest. Humans entered the council chamber not as outsiders, but as respected participants, their voices carrying the weight of their achievements. The council acknowledged that humanity's rise was a sign that the galaxy was entering a new era, one where diverse species could come together not through fear or force, but through mutual respect and shared goals. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council embraced a future shaped by the unpredictable creative spirit of humans, an understanding that their presence would challenge and inspire all civilizations to grow beyond their limits. The defining moment had arrived not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy, signaling the dawn of a brighter, more united cosmic community where every species, no matter how young or old, could find their place among the stars.